Alright, so today we'll continue with the rock, paper, scissors multiplayer game. And so far we haven't implemented that much. We just started to work on the master server. And the purpose of this master server is gonna be to spawn game servers. And these game servers are gonna connect clients together to be able to play the game. It's something like a really simple game like rock, paper, scissors, just because the goal of this project to me is more of learning how this architecture of having a master server and then spawning games works, like having separate rooms and then having a big orchestrator that handles all of these rooms. I'm pretty sure that there probably is already something like this. So if you make a game on Steam, you probably use the Steamworks stuff, so you handle multiplayer lobbies. But I just want to figure out how to do it myself, and for this project we are using Go. I also have some stuff made in Nix because I'm using Nix, and I just wanted to have a dev shell, so we have Go installed in that dev shell. I installed yesterday Docker on my machine so we can spawn like a Postgres server to store info about our rooms. And yeah, I mean, the reason why I would do it with Docker for like the microservices instead of just using Nix for that, like a script in Nix or something, is probably people don't use Nix. So it's gonna be easier to have a Docker compose and you know, like everyone probably has Go installed, so that's not an issue, and also Docker. So running Docker compose up or something like that is gonna make stuff easy. And also I'm pretty sure that if we deploy this thing on something like AWS, although I'm not gonna do that because it I don't want to say that it costs money, but it basically does. So it would be kind of pointless because it's not something like that can sustain itself, right? Like maybe if it was a game that paid for itself, that's another topic, right? Because everyone can play and it has ads or something that pays its own like maintenance or something. So yeah, but since it's like a toy project, it's gonna be just Docker. We run it locally, see how it goes. And yeah, the other thing is I didn't do any refactoring. I just left the code as it was, so all the routes. And my idea for today is probably to create the room model and store it in a database. And I did a code, but for now it's doing nothing because we don't have Postgres running. So yeah, let's see what we can do about this stuff today. Also, the other thing maybe worth mentioning is that we have a Discord. It's always in the description, so if you want to join it and ask like questions about the videos or maybe give video ideas, we can join it. Would be pretty cool to see also like your projects, maybe like sharing them and stuff like that. So that could be pretty cool. But yeah, let's go ahead and actually start working on our project, right? So I'm using this Nix shell to have Go installed, and that way I also have the LSP ready, so that's pretty nice. So far, I'd say that Nix Vim, maybe it's pretty decent. Like the LSP works all the time if you have the shell properly done. So like I have, Go installed, that's enough for Golang. I'd say that Rust was a bit more tricky to set up, but that's also like if you have the shell, you have to learn how to do it once and then you can just reuse it and then it always works. That's pretty cool. And yeah, let's start air. So we serve the server, and for example, we can make a request here. It's not gonna work because we don't have a connection to the database, but it sends the default, or I guess, name is set, but it sends the default fields to our application and we can log it. That's decent. So yeah, I mean, I decided to not have really complicated packages for this app. Like, it's gonna be maybe it's not gonna be just a single file, right? It's probably gonna have multiple files, like a bit of refactoring. I guess I can do that, but I'm not gonna do like weird services and repository and stuff, because in my opinion, like from last time I did it in Go, I feel like that, like, let's call it paradigm of coding web applications, it's not the best with Go. It feels like, it's a bit weird. Like, it feels like Go is not really good with having a lot of small files. It's made to have like a few packages, like really small number, and like it feels like that way, right? In a weird way. So yeah, let's talk about the create room route that we have. So this route is gonna get as input in the request body, it's gonna get a room DTO, which is like an intermediate object that only has the name of the room, the number of players, and whether the room is private or not, right? That's the input to our handler. We check that. If it's not, if we are not able to parse that, it's an error, so we can just crash this thing, abort with an error. And otherwise we start building our room, like, let's say, entry in our database. So so far we know a few fields like the name, the number of players, and private, and we need to figure out the rest. So for example, the code, it's gonna be like a password for our server, and if the server is private, then you have to use a code. I mean, you'll have to use a code all the time, but what private does is it shows the server in the public list, basically. So if you don't see the server in the public list, you won't know its code. You have to ask the owner for the code. That's my logic. And if you are with your friends in Discord or something, and they can share the code, that's the idea. Then the address is gonna be generated once we spin up the game server. So that's this to do comment here. We have to spin up a game server. We don't have yet a game server. We have to implement that as well. And I think I'm also going to do that in the same repository. Yeah, probably we'll have like a CMD folder with the master server, game server, and the game client. And I know, like, probably you're supposed to have 3 separate repos for that, because they might have different dependencies, but I feel like it's too, probably like too much, how do you say that, over engineering, I guess, for such a simple project. So we'll have all the applications in the same repo. It's more like a POC, right? So it doesn't need any advanced setups. Like, imagine I could create an organization and have 3 repos, but that's like overkill. Yeah. So the goal here is to spin up a game server. We don't have that yet, but we'll do in the future. Then we need to generate a code. This one we can just do right now. And then we just save the model to the database. I think I'm also gonna add another field in here which is gonna be just players. So how many players are currently in the game, right? And the default will probably be 0. So you can also see in the public list of servers how many players are currently in the game, right? So that's like, okay, the max number of players is 2 and there is 1 player in the game, so you can join, but that's gonna be checked also when you try to do join room. Okay, and I'm also gonna use the number of current players. We'll have like a health check for each server, so we'll probably spawn a new thread and run a health check to see if a server is empty, then we can just kill it. It's not needed anymore. So let's see. We can set here the number of players to 0. I mean it's already set, but let's have it down here. So the number of players is set to 0. I set the address we are gonna generate it, so we can have maybe something like address is gonna be an empty string for now. Address, and we'll figure out the address and also the code, which we can generate here somehow, and also we can figure it out. All right, so yeah, we will have the code, address, name. I guess I can leave out the number of players. It's gonna be by default 0, and then created at and updated at, it's gonna be set as default. Right, so I mean, yeah, I think this is enough. I don't really, we can also have like a status for the server if it's active or inactive or something like that, but I think that if a server is inactive, we just delete it. Like inactive means 0 players. And maybe we'll give like if a server has 0 players for like, I don't know, a few minutes or something like that, then we delete it. So if you have 0 players for 3 health checks in a row, it gets deleted or something. Okay. So we have the, let's say, let's actually just set up Postgres. So if we do post SQL Docker and let's actually use web app Go. This is the old web app that I did in Go, and I think we should have a, I mean, obviously we have a Postgres. I used Postgres 16 back then. Okay. And I used a few extra features like pgvector because it was like something with pgvector, and yeah. So for setting up the Postgres, let's just copy this stuff and let's use, do I have compose? Looks like it is installed, so that's decent. We can use something like docker compose for this thing. I like that I had, okay, yeah. Let's have pose.yaml. So instead of running a command like docker exec Postgres and stuff like that, we can just have a compose. I like it more with Docker Compose. It's a bit nicer. So what Docker image do we have for this thing? I guess we have Postgres 17 or something. So let's use Postgres 17, I guess. We don't need to build it, or yeah, we'll keep the default port probably. Let's call it RPS Postgres for the volumes. Then we'll have like some secrets for the username, password, database, and let's say we'll also have this folder secrets. I mean, ideally, you know, it's gonna be different. Yeah. I'm curious if you can have something like an environment file. Probably, I mean, this should be enough. And then we can have these secrets. Or the other option is to have them directly here. Yeah, let's just do that. So it's gonna be Postgres. I'm curious what password did I use for the database? My secret password. And the database, oh, database user and database. Yeah. Sure, doesn't really matter. Okay. So I'd say it's basically the same thing. Let's run. Should I? Like, sure, let's do this stuff, right? Let's run it like this. Probably it's gonna take some time, so I'm just gonna pause until it's done. Okay, it's actually it started. Pretty nice. So let's continue. So we'll need a config.example.yaml file, and I'm also gonna just copy paste stuff from there. So we'll want some secrets, or I guess we'll want the connection details for the database. So for example, the host is gonna probably be localhost, right? Like it's I'd say so. What would happen if we ping localhost 5432? I mean, I don't have PSQL or whatever it's called, so but it should. Oh, I mean, let's do something different. Let's go to compose, and for the network, I mean, we already say that we forward the port. Okay, so it's enough. Let's go back to secrets. So yeah, we'll have, wait, where are the config.example.yaml. It should pick up the file. Okay, so the port is gonna be 5432. The user is that. All of this looks fine. And insecure true, whatever. Okay, so this is gonna be in the database section of our config, right? And then we can do stuff like config dot dev dot yaml, right? So this is gonna be our dev config. All right, let's go back to the main, and again I'm just gonna reuse stuff from my old project. So in the config.go file I was using this cleanenv package, which I'd say is pretty cool. I mean, I'm pretty new to this stuff, so I'm not sure if it's the best one, but I really liked how you can just set stuff either from env or from like a YAML file. So we can probably have something similar. So let's go get this stuff. Oh, let's start our go get cleanenv. All right, and we can add something like a type config struct. Let's add it here, and I'm gonna just add database to this thing. So host port, right? Okay, I'm not gonna do this thing. I think I can do because here you can see we have two options, read config and read env. So yeah, I mean it doesn't work with .env file. You have to, so if we go to golang .env, we have go.env. It's an interesting package. We can do go.env .load, and then maybe we can use our stuff. I mean, this can work too, I guess, using go.env. But I was just thinking, what if you have, like I have here, config.dev, config.something else. Probably is not as convenient. Yeah, it's pretty strange how you would do that. Oh. So something like .env.local, right? Something like that. I was thinking. Wait, let me just check for a second. I mean, that's probably gonna still work, so let's, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Let's use also this go get go.env. So maybe like this stuff gives us like a structure, but it's not really that. Wait, I close that. go clean and GitHub. I guess opening the documentation for this too is decent. Right, because it doesn't, yeah, see here you can specify the path. So I would take the path from env, but okay, fine, fair enough. Let's try to use this one. Right, we'll load the .env file, but here this is kind of right. So we'll probably do something like this. So let's have a function load, maybe load env or load config. It's gonna return a config, and the goal is to do something like this. So we pick up what environment we are using, and maybe it's gonna be env, just env. And if it doesn't exist, then it's development, right? Then let's lsp restart to have everything in here. We load the environment. I guess I'm gonna say local here, or yeah, why not actually? And it's gonna be, I would say that this makes more sense. Load.env.local, and then maybe we can, wow, maybe we can have something like .env.example. Let's delete this one. .env.example, right? And in here it tells us how to do that. So I'm gonna do something like db host, db port, db user, I think we need to do equals, right? Probably, like, it's less organized in my opinion if you do with .env, but at the same time it's more cool in a way. So .env.local, I said, right, for our own implementation. Okay, so we load the local environment, and then we can use cleanenv to read the environment, right? And you can have cfg equal to config, and then you can return it. Okay, and handling the errors, I saw here some error handling, which, wait, yeah, this stuff returns an error, or I guess it should return an error. Do we have slog? fatal. But why slog? Like, we don't have any interesting call here. Like something like die or yeah. Well, let's use log.fatal. And then we can have the same thing. Error, reading, and variables. And now instead of YAML here, we can have env. Right. So let's do db underscore, and let's do a macro. QA. Can I select between these and uppercase, and then that's the macro. All right. So I'd say that probably that's how we build the config. Hopefully. Let's format. And now we can do something like config. The config is wait, what? Ah, okay, log info. I'm not sure what bad key is, but whatever. So see, it loads it correctly for this environment, because if we check up here, the environment that it loads is gonna be .env.local. So yeah. Okay, so that's okay. We need to create a DB connection. So I'm not gonna do like a global variable or something. It's gonna be inside of this handler v1, bandb. So let's see how we can create that. Funny enough is that I already done that before. So here I guess we need pg driver from ban, and some more stuff. So let's try to use it. pg driver connect, right? New connector, is it? Yeah. And question is, no, we need to install it. So we need to, that's strange. Do we actually need to install that? I mean, it would make sense because, yeah, actually I did. So pg dialect and pg driver. Let's install pg driver first. Go get. Right. So if I lsp restart, it's yeah, it's a bit annoying that I have to restart the Vim to make this work. Okay, so let's do it like this. With address, so let's call this thing cfg, and let's use format. So this stuff is gonna it's interesting that I cannot see. What the fuck? Ah, I ran Gamut tidy and it removed it. I was like, what? Okay, so new connector takes options, right? So it's interesting. This means a list of options. So it's like variadic. And with address is an option. I mean, it's an interesting approach. Now this stuff, I'm not sure what it does. So I think I copied this stuff from the bun example, so it's nothing special. Let's go get this, and also bun debug. I think that bun debug is to have like extra debugging for your okay, so SQL is database SQL. Wow, is this something like, I think it's standard library, right? Or is it? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it looks like it's standard library, right? That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure I said the same thing when I used it the first time. Okay. So add query hook. I think I added this stuff because I wanted to see the SQL queries. So if we do through here, we'll see the SQL queries that are being made. And I'd say that's pretty nice. So yeah, I guess I can just add DB here, and that's it. So we should be able to actually insert rooms in our database at this point. So if we curl now, oh, we need to do the migrations. Right. So also this stuff which I copied from, I guess we can go golang bun migrations, and should be in the bun starter kit how to run migrations in this main.go thingy. So for that I would create cmd bun and then main.go. This can be package main. Yeah. All right. And I think like there should be a GitHub page just so you can also find where this stuff is. Bun starter kit. I think I found it in this thing, and then there was this main. Or something like this. Yeah, and I guess I copied all of this new bun command. Let me see if there is anything new in here. Oh shit, 3 years ago. Okay, so it looks like it was, completed. It doesn't need any changes, so we might as well just use my code. But again, I'm just gonna use the new db command. So we'll have multiple files. All right. And then we have the main function. And this should be something like bun migrations tool. Right? And I mean, we can, yeah. Oh, this stuff needs to be common. Yeah, we'll do that. So we'll have it as a common module. And then this stuff was using CLI. It's like a argument parser. It's from your, so let's search for this GitHub link. Yeah, I know. I mean, if it works, right? That's what we are probably gonna use. And bun migrations tool. Okay, let's copy this entire thing. We are not gonna use most of this. We just need migrate and this your fave. Probably go get, right? Yeah, dude, I hate that it's failing, but anyways. So it's gonna be a bun migrations tool. It should have only one command. But I don't really remember. So here it's a list of commands, right? I'd say that probably another idea is to take all of these subcommands and put it in here. So this entire list, right? And have it like this. Why not? Okay, so I also had this way of creating a database. So we also need that. Migrations. So I'm gonna do I'm not sure why migrations is not picked. Oh, maybe I have to install it. Go get this stuff. Is it not? Oh, I need something else. So if we go to migrations, we have another main here. So we just need this stuff. I'm just curious. In my implementation, I had it here. Is it different? It kind of looks the same. Almost. It has that embed.fs. What the fuck is that? I don't know. I mean, to me it looks a bit useless. SQL migrations. Oh, discover. Huh. See, it's a bit different at this call. I don't know. Maybe I knew what I was doing. So we can have migrations. I mean, I wouldn't do it in CMD. I would rather have it like this probably. Right. And if we go back to CMD, we should be able to import it. I mean, eventually. Yeah. And now the other thing is to add this function that creates a DB connection and the function that creates or loads the config. So I will do that inside of pkg, and let's have something like config .go. I don't know how to call it. It's like pkg package. No idea. Actually, it's if we go to main, undefined config. So in my code, was it like a web app config, right? Just so it is package config. I mean, should I get like this? Right. Oh, I meant this. Okay, so we can get the entire stuff from here. Go into package. I mean, we can return like this stuff. And here we can do slog error. but at the same time it's like fair enough. Okay, so let's import os.env log and cleanenv. I don't know why it's complaining about this, but it's like whatever. So this should load the config. If we go to main, we can remove all of this. And here we can say config dot load config. Right? And then for the database, we can have something similar. So we can go to pkg database, and we can have a function like maybe new even, and we need to pass in cfg config.config, and it should return a ban.db. Right, return db. Maybe it's a pointer actually. Okay, so pg driver, it needs fmt, it needs sql, it needs pg direct, and ban debug. Okay, so that should be something like db is equal to database.new, and we pass cfg. I mean, kind of makes sense. I don't know if that's the perfect way of doing. That's why I don't really like packages in Go, like having too many files, because you have to do this weird like extra file for it. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's not the, maybe I'm doing it wrong. So if you know a better way, please, like, I have no idea how to do it, help me. But yeah, so here we can actually import config, and it should be just cfg, right? And now instead of this, we can just say database.new, right? And we can just replace this. Oh my god. Database new. I don't know what I did wrong. I was just trying to paste over it. Okay, so these are all the errors. So if I run now, this one is interesting. What if we do go mode tidy? So it complains that some shit, it's, yeah, I mean, pretty weird. So go mode, let's actually just remove it or something. And let's do go mode tidy. It actually got it. So what's the yeah, I don't know. So now our stuff runs. See here, because we did the fuck, I meant to say that since we did but no, that's not true. Since we did debug logging, if we do curl with this, it should say here the query that we run, right? I mean, it's already saying it here, but I think it's pretty cool that it's you can see it from the logs of the app as well. Sometimes it's useful. So first thing that we need to do actually is go run cmd ban main go, and it should tell us all the stuff that we can run with migrations, right? So we can run init to initialize the migrations table. It should create this stuff, and then we can create either a Go migration or SQL migration. Right, so I prefer, I think, Go. Let's just check in the example because I don't remember. So Go, maybe it's gonna be easier. Let's check. So I did tables with Go, and then I also did some stuff with but let's create a Go. Oh, create Go, and we can call it like tables or maybe rooms. Right, and now this thing created inside of migrations rooms.go. Okay, and between like up migration and return of the error, we can actually create our table. So for up, we can do a new table create, and it's gonna be rooms, although it's called room actually. But like, see, the problem is that we need to move this thing into a separate place, into pkg, for example. But yeah, that's the first. And then to drop, we need, and maybe I'm gonna do, oops, wow, maybe I'm gonna do models.room, models.room. So then we can go inside of pkg models. Maybe you can have a room.go package models, and now I guess we can copy all of this, paste it here, and we need a few imports. Right, and now let's import lsp restart. So cool. So we can, yeah, I mean, it's a bit painful with the lsp. I have to figure out, whoa, what? Oh, it's gonna be models that I mean, it sucks a bit. I really like to have everything in a single file, but it is what it is. I guess now it's time to just move. So yeah, maybe we need like but see, I would really like this thing to be like package, like models.room or something. Alright, I don't know. That could be cool. So now inside of our migration, we can just import our models package. So now if we go and call to migrate, migrate database. I don't remember, I think this, right? So it created the database. Okay, and now if we run the curl command, we actually get back our room. So ID is 1, code we haven't created it yet, the other is the same, but it added the name, the number of players it's 0, max players, private, created at, and yeah, I'd say that's decent. So maybe last thing I want to do is inside of this, let's have maybe master, like this is the main server, and let's move all of this code here. So now we have to change inside of air that cmd master, right? And we can name 2, for example, right? And now we have multiple entries in our database. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fine. Yeah, like I don't really like that we have so many folders with Go, but I don't want to have a package called utils. That would be even worse, in my opinion. Having a utils.load config, that's gonna be insane, honestly. So let's just say okay, it is what it is. Right. So it's gonna be just that. Maybe we want to have this call only once in the beginning, but that's like extra. Right, that could be okay. So yeah, we can whatever. Oh, status. Let's see what status does. Yeah, I mean it's pretty decent migration tool. So maybe now let's actually try and do the list rooms, right? I think that's gonna be interesting. So again, I'm just gonna copy paste it from the old project. Honestly, I think that might be a good way to do, like, if we did it once, then should be pretty easy to redo it again. So how this get rooms is gonna work, I think we want to show only the public rooms. So let's do something like rooms. It's gonna be models dot room. We create an array, then we select all the rooms. I guess we can do where, right? Where, query.where. I don't really like that. Was it really like this? That's weird. Yeah, it was actually. Okay, let's use the example. So it's gonna be probably something like this, where something is equal to, and then we can continue with ban identifier. But see, yeah, this is what it's a bit scuffed, that I have to use it like this. Oops. But let's say here we use false. Right. The reason why we used equal in this one is because they are defining the return. So yeah. Anyway, if return, if the error is there, it's gonna be bad request probably. I don't know. For now, like, what error can this thing return? Who knows? But if it's okay, then let's just say we list rooms. So let's make a post request. We don't need any headers. I meant a get, obviously. So it did something. That's cool. I guess here we just return rooms, right? Okay, so that works. These have private equals false. So let's try to create a room with private true. And now if we call to get rooms, we actually see only the public rooms. But this one wasn't created, I guess. A 400 cannot unmarshal string into. The fuck? But oh, I'm a JavaScript developer. You have to put through like that. Okay, so now if we list them, we see that we don't see the private room. So yeah, I mean, that's a decent approach. Yeah, you know, probably you want to have more stuff more abstracted, but I think that for now this should be good. And I think that if you want to join a room, you might want to provide what? The code, right? And this thing should just return you the room by code. So it's gonna be something like this. We have a room is gonna be just a room. We want to select a room where code is equal to the code that we give here. Yeah, whatever. Can I limit 1 or something, and then we just return the room, right? So something like this, I'd say, but we need to get the code from Gene. So let's search for Gene path parameters. So how do we get the parameters from the path, right? Because here we have a code. Well, that's all. Context param and then code. Huh. That's easy enough. Code. So yeah, we do code here. Now, sure, we don't have any code. So let's say we do ABCD as the code for the next one, just to have a different code. And let's create it private, right? So if we list all the rooms, we don't see it. But if we do join ABCD, we actually get it, and it's private, right? So inside of address, you would have the IP and the port, so you know how to connect to the game server. And that's the idea, right? Each of these rooms are going to have the IP, and since these are public, you can see the IP and the port, so you can easily just connect to one of them. You don't need a code necessarily. Yeah. So maybe join is not the right name. Maybe it's just details for a room, and then here you pass the code instead of the ID. And you get the details, and then you connect to the IP and server. And probably the game server is also going to validate the code, just in case you get the IP in a weird way and you don't have the code. We'll see. But yeah, I think join might not be the right name. Maybe it's details, or maybe it's actually rooms and then code. Right, so you give it the code. I think, yeah, makes sense. So yeah, probably that's it for today, and we might want to maybe just rename this thing into get room. Let's just test it again. It still works. So yeah, this gives you the details for the room. And now the next thing is that we need to actually spin up a game server here and create like maybe a Docker container for the game. And that's the only thing we need to do here. And then fill in the address, and here when you call get room, you get that IP and the port. You also have the code, so you send the code maybe to the game server, and the game server lets you in based on the code. So yeah, maybe another thing that would make this more efficient is having an index probably on the code. I don't know Postgres that much, but I know you can use index on columns, so maybe having an index on code, because code is something like a primary key in our case. But yeah, I don't think you can have a string of 6 characters as a primary key, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's the goal, I guess, for next time, is to have the server being actually created, actually creating a code, and yeah, seeing how we can spin up game servers. But we'll have to implement the game first. So let's see in the next one.